A family bound by hearts. The rain drummed against the hospital window as Maya pressed her palm against the cool glass, watching the world blur into watercolor streaks. Behind her, in the sterile white room, lay the only family she'd ever known, Mrs. Chen, the woman who had found her 23 years ago, a newborn wrapped in a threadbare blanket on the steps of her bakery. "Maya, dear," Mrs. Chen's voice was barely a whisper now, fragile as rice paper. "Come here." Maya turned, her eyes already brimming. The woman in the bed seemed so small, so unlike the force of nature who had taught her to knead dough at dawn, who had sung Mandarin lullabies while braiding her hair, who had worked double shifts to send her to college. "Mama," Maya said, the word catching in her throat. She'd started calling her that at age 4, and Mrs. Chen had cried happy tears into her apron. "I need to tell you something." Mrs. Chen's weathered hand reached for Maya's. "Your brother, he's coming." Maya's heart stuttered. "My brother?" "Not by blood," Mrs. Chen smiled, that gentle smile that had soothed 1,000 scraped knees and broken hearts. "By choice, I called him." The door opened before Maya could respond. A young man stood in the doorway, his eyes red-rimmed, his shoulders weighted with grief that mirrored her own. She recognized him immediately. Daniel, the boy Mrs. Chen had taken in when Maya was 12, when his own mother had abandoned him at the shelter downtown. He'd lived with them for 3 years before aging out of the system and joining the military. "Mama Chen," his voice broke on her name. They came together at her bedside, these 2 children who shared no blood but everything else that mattered. Mrs. Chen took both their hands, placing one over the other. "My treasures," she breathed. "I want to tell you both something. I never had children of my own. The doctors said I couldn't. For years I thought my life would be empty." She squeezed their fingers with surprising strength. "But then the universe gave me you, Maya. And you, Daniel. And a dozen others over the years who needed a warm meal and warmer arms." "You gave us everything," Daniel said, his Marine's composure crumbling. "No, my boy. You gave me everything. Every child who called me mama, every holiday around our crowded table, every graduation, every tear I wiped away. That was my wealth. That was my legacy." Maya couldn't hold back her sobs anymore. "We're not ready to say goodbye." "Oh, sweet girl." Mrs. Chen's eyes, clouded with age but still sharp with love, found hers. "You're never saying goodbye to family. Family isn't about being ready. It's about showing up day after day in the messy, beautiful moments. It's choosing to love when love is hard." Through the night, they kept vigil. Daniel told stories about his deployments, how he'd sent half his paychecks home to help with the bakery. Maya confessed how she'd almost dropped out of medical school, how a late-night call from Mrs. Chen had convinced her to stay. They laughed about burned dumplings and the time Mrs. Chen had chased a shoplifter 3 blocks with a rolling pin. As dawn broke, painting the room in shades of gold, more visitors arrived. There was Lisa, who Mrs. Chen had sheltered from an abusive home. Marcus, who'd been homeless at 16. Sophia and her twins, whom Mrs. Chen had helped raise while Sophia worked 3 jobs. They filled the room with warmth, this patchwork family sewn together by one woman's enormous heart. Mrs. Chen smiled at each of them, her eyes traveling from face to beloved face. "Look at my garden," she whispered to Maya. "Look how beautifully you've all bloomed." She slipped away peacefully that afternoon, surrounded by more love than most people experience in a lifetime. Träumt die es mir. 6 months later, Maya stood in the bakery, flour dusting her cheek as she pulled a tray of custard buns from the oven, Mrs. Chen's recipe perfected over decades. Daniel worked beside her, his strong hands surprisingly gentle as he shaped dough. The space had been empty for months, but together they'd decided to reopen it. The bell above the door chimed. A social worker entered. a small boy clutching her hand. His eyes were wary, his clothes worn. I heard this place sometimes helps kids, the social worker said carefully. Maya and Daniel exchanged glances, an entire conversation passing between them in a heartbeat. They saw themselves in this child, the fear, the fragile hope, the desperate need for someone to choose them. Always, Maya said, kneeling down to the boy's level. We always help. Are you hungry? As the boy nodded, Daniel was already preparing a plate. Maya guided them to a table, the same table where she'd done homework while Mrs. Chen worked, where Daniel had told her about his first day of boot camp, where their family had gathered for countless meals. That night, after the boy had left with a full stomach and the promise of return, Maya found Daniel wiping down counters. She's still here, isn't she? He said quietly. In us. In this place. In everyone she touched. Maya nodded, understanding blooming in her chest like spring flowers. Mrs. Chen hadn't left them a fortune or a mansion. She'd left them something far more precious, the knowledge that family isn't found in DNA or documents, but in the sacred choice to show up, to love, to bind yourself to others through invisible threads stronger than steel. We should call the others, Maya said. Sunday dinner, like we used to. Like family always does, Daniel agreed. Outside, the city pulsed with life. Inside the bakery, the scent of fresh bread filled the air, a promise, a comfort, a home. And in the hearts of everyone, Mrs. Chen had touched, her legacy continued, proof that the strongest bonds aren't born from blood, but from the fierce, beautiful decision to love unconditionally. Family, after all, is a verb,